Hello and welcome to our RLCS Open number 6 predictions for EU. We've got some interesting games coming up this weekend. Just as a reminder before we get started, how the current points are working out. For EU, we have Carmine Corps at 35, securing their spot for Raleigh. Dignitas at 31, who've secured their spot for Raleigh. Vitality at 21 points. Geekay at 15. Gentlemates Alpine also at 15, so a tie for fourth. And then forward at 9, Ninjas in Pajamas at 9, and Team BSK at 9, Synergy at 7, and so on down the list. You can see basically all the top 12 have a look. They have an opening. So, very interesting. Only 2 of the spots are taken, confirmed so far. So, let's go ahead and jump into our predictions list. First up, we've got Vitality versus BDS. Now, Vitality, of course, is Zen, Monkey Moon, and Exotic, and BDS is the new BDS team of Nico, Juke, and Mitzer. Vitality had a strong Swiss, going 3-0. They did have a 3-2 series with Gentlemates, and then BDS had a tough scrape-in where they lost to GK and they lost to Synergy, but they did beat some other teams. So I have to give this to Vitality. I think it's very possible they lose a game or two, but I think Vitality is the better team here. Synergy, BSK. As a reminder, Synergy is AJG, Dorito, Rizex. They were looking pretty good. And then BSK is Rusty, Z95, Mozzarella, and Pisky. Also looking very good. This is another one where I'm going to have to reference the Swiss. BSK, you can see they lost to Ninjas in Pajamas, but they did beat a couple, decent teams. Then Synergy, they lost to Dignitas, but they did beat BDS. I think I like Synergy here in a 3-2, but I wouldn't be surprised if BSK wins. I think they're a very talented team. GK versus Los Leones de Montepinar. Let's see. GK is Archie, Joyo, Oli, and Los Leones de Montepinar is the Spanish team of Steak, Mark by 8, and Reese. RXII. Which is Ray, actually, not Reese. It's Ray. So, Ray, because his name is Raymundo, so it's Ray. RXII. Had to look that up earlier in the season. GK, Los Leones. I do think GK is better here, and it's going to send them to the lowers, and it's probably a sweep, but maybe they get a game or two. Ninjas in Pajamas and Caliente. Ninjas in Pajamas is Itachi, Oski, and Nas. Caliente is Saizen, Noasaki, and Charlie B. I do think Ninjas are the better team. You can see they only lost to K-Corp, and they beat some quality teams to be that third seed here. And then Caliente lost to 100% and Synergy, so not quite up to that standard. Maybe they drop a game for Ninjas. Okay, gonna go ahead and finish Group A uppers. Vitality over Synergy. I like Vitality here. Possibly close game. I think Synergy probably picks up a game or two against them, but I think Vitality is the better team and will qualify through. GK versus Ninjas. This one's kind of the first tough match to predict, in my opinion. We've got both teams right on the edge of qualification. I do think from what we've been seeing, GK is the better team. I was very much a Ninjas in Pajamas supporter for most of the season, but to be honest, they've lost that support from me based on their results. And so I have to put GK over Ninjas. And I don't think it's that controversial of a take. If you feel differently, let me know. A lot of the people I see in Ninjas in Pajamas supporters just say they wish Ninjas was doing better, not that they expect them to do better. So I think GK wins that. Now we've got BDS versus BSK. Basically the future of France, right? BSK, as a reminder, is Rusty Z, 95, Mozzarella, and Pisky. And that's BSK. And then BDS is Nico, Juke, and Mitzer. So you have 5 talented French players in that lobby of 6 total. Oh, this is tough. I do think BSK has been doing better than BDS, but I'm going to give myself a cop out and make it a 3-2. And therefore, if BDS wins, I won't feel so bad. But I do think BSK has been playing a little bit better than BDS. BDS missed some events. I believe they missed either the last one or the first one. I forget. So they need some work. Los Leones de Montepinar versus Caliente. I'm just going to go purely on Swiss results here. So these guys got swept by Vitality. Sorry, Los Leones got swept by Vitality and BSK. They did beat Sick. They beat Pickup FC and they beat Orcadia versus Caliente. Lost to 100% and lost to Synergy. So both teams kind of lost to better prevailing teams. I'm going to give the edge to Caliente here, but probably a close match. Let me make that also a 3-2. Okay, Ninjas versus BSK. I will qualify the Ninjas through. I think Ninjas is a better team. Hopefully they have a better game plan. And I like Synergy over Caliente here as well. So I think of this Group A, we're going to see Vitality, Geekay, Ninjas, and Synergy. And I think that is a good, solid ranking. Nothing too controversial in there. Maybe the lower bracket, you have some disagreements and you want to see BDS qualify through. I haven't seen that yet from the BDS squad. Now let's talk Group B. Arguably a tougher group here. You've got Dignitas versus Chippy Chips. Dig coming off of their Open number 5 win over Carmine Corps. So very hot team versus... And that's Stizzy, apparently Jack and Jorius, versus Chippy Chips, which is Chippy, Lassa, and Jupe. Talented team, but I don't think they do much against Dignitas. Maybe they pick up a game. Dignitas don't always start the best in these type of situations. Gentlemates versus 100%. Gentlemates is Seiko, Juicy, and Eugen. Eugen's been really proving himself in these last couple opens. 100% Louis P, Rezi, Acro. I do think Gentlemates is the better team here. So I'm going to give it a 3-1 for Gentlemates. And we got nice purple colors playing each other. Carmine ATM. Just as a reminder, Carmine is going to be Vatira, Drally, and Atto. And ATM is going to be Tempo, Acronic, and Matt. Obviously, it's just an acronym of their name. I don't think they pick up a game on Carmine. I think Carmine's going to have a really nice bounce back. I think they're the type of team where when they lose the grand finals like they did in Open 5, they're going to come back and pretty much dominate these teams. Now let's look at Forward and Dopamine. Forward is Edgeby, Mike Boy, Growly. Dopamine is K-Dop, Astral, Rizfox. I'm going to do a quick look at the seeding. So Forward had really strong. They did get swept by GK. And then how did Dopamine do? Dopamine lost to Mates, Pajamas, beat Ultimatum, Chippy Chips, and Pickup FC. I do think Forward is the better team here. Maybe they drop a game. But I think this is a very likely uppers. And this is a very stacked grouping in this uppers, as you can see here. Dignitas, Gentlemates. I do like Dignitas over Gentlemates, but I think that's maybe a closer game than people realize. Carmine versus Forward. Even though Forward has Mike Boy on it, I do think Carmine win that 3-1. I think they're going to come through and they're going to play really strong out of the gates. Chippy Chips, 100%. This one's tough. Based on Swiss, I think I'm liking 100% better here. So I'm going to give them a 3-1. ATM versus Dopamine. Similar story. I do think ATM lost to Forward and Dignitas versus Dopamine lost. Sorry, I know we just looked at this to Gentlemates and Ninjas. It does look like Dopamine got better quality losses, so I do think I'm going to put that as a close series and take Dopamine through there. Forward, 100%. I like Forward in this matchup here. So I think they get a 3-1 win over. And Gentlemates over Dopamine. I think I like a sweep here. to have Dignitas, Carmine Corps, Forward, and Gentlemates go through. So another case where I don't have too many upsetting hot picks, unless you feel differently. Let me know in the comments. Now let's look at how this shakes out for the playoffs. In the lower round 1, we've got Ninjas and Pajamas versus Gentlemates. This is a big one. This could be the Itachi, and for here I'm actually going to go back to the major rankings. So for this part, I'm going to be mostly referencing the points because I think that's an interesting way of looking at it. Ninjas and Pajamas, 9 points. Gentlemates, 15 points. It's a must-win for Gentlemates, and I do think they get this job done. Maybe it's a very close series, though. I do think those are comparable teams, but I think that we've seen Gentlemates have started to be more clutch, and Ninjas have started to be less clutch as the season's gone on. I think that Ninja's roster probably needs to shuffle. At the very least, I would recommend they hire a new coach. That's kind of my hot take about that team. Forward versus Synergy. Forward's at 9 points. Synergy's at 7. So both of these teams are going to be hungry. I think I like Forward here over Synergy, but I could see it being a close match either way. That moves Gentlemates and Forward further into the tournament. Vitality, Carmine Corps. Really have not seen anything from Vitality that have proven they're going to go out and beat Carmine Corps. I mean, let me know if you guys feel differently. But at this point, are we seeing anything from Vitality that makes us think they're going to dominate Carmine Corps anytime soon? No, right? Dignitas, Geekay. I do think Dignitas has the mental advantage. They're going to give them the 4-2 there. It's kind of interesting. That pushes Vitality, Gentlemates into the lowers and Geekay Forward into the lowers. The easier pick for me is Geekay here. I think they take a big win over Forward and basically lock up their slot to qualify for Raleigh. Vitality, Gentlemates. I do think Vitality probably win this series. Probably. I think so. I do think Vitality wins this series. I keep saying it because I need to convince myself that this is what's going to happen. I do think Vitality is going to win this series. Dignitas, Vitality. I think there's a possible mental block there. I think Dignitas is going to dominate Vitality. Dignitas is showing themselves as a much hotter team. So maybe that's the only controversial take I've made this whole tournament, is that I think Dignitas is much better than Vitality. At least they're playing much better than Vitality. Carmine, I think, handles Geekay well, even though Geekay's shown that they have the script to beat them, which then has a rematch from Open 5, Dignitas Carmine. This time, I think Carmine Corps gets their swagger back, and I think they do very well. And so I'm going to predict that Carmine Corps has a very dominant tournament going into Open number 6, and that they don't fade out. Even though there's some rumblings that, people have figured out the play style or whatever. So I think this is good, solid picks here, which then, if I go into my rankings, has Geekay winning the 4th slot over Gentlemates, as we saw here. Now, if Gentlemates beats Vitality or Geekay loses to Forward, we have a more interesting situation. So that's kind of what I'm going to be cheering for, no offense to Vitality. If that does happen, just for the sake of looking at it, it's a tie. So at least they'll get a tiebreaker match, which I think is the best they can hope for. That being said, I still think my predictions are going to be pretty accurate. I don't think I picked anything too crazy here. Maybe you feel like Dignitas beat Carmine, so should be over Carmine. I think just based on what we've seen from this season, Carmine Corps is still Carmine Corps, and we got to respect them and give them their points. So that is my takes all around. I think they're pretty solid. Let me know if you feel differently or what you're going to be looking for. The real question is who's going to be playing better, Geekay or Gentlemates, to take that 4th slot. I don't think we're going to see Forward or Ninjas in Pajamas or BSK who are waiting in 6th place. I don't see any of these guys making a super deep run to win the tournament to then qualify into these points. But crazier things have happened. I think realistically, we're going to see Carmine Dignitas guaranteed, and then Vitality Geekay probably. Unless Geekay flames out and Gentlemates plays great, in which case, obviously, Gentlemates will take that 4th slot, and that would also be fun to watch at Raleigh. So we're not losing. I do believe if GK or Gentlemates doesn't make this cut here, that they're going to make the last chance qualifiers and do fine there for Worlds, but that's a whole different topic for another day. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you think of these picks, who you've got winning. If you think I'm wrong in any spots, would love to discuss it or at least see your point of view. And have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.